Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for WWE Aftershock in 3, 2, 1. World Wrestling Entertainment Discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to WWE Aftershock, and I'm doing the show solo this week because let's just say there was some complications and schedules and things like that on Chris's end that allowed him not to be able to be on the show. We knew ahead of time he wasn't going to be able to be on this show for the most part. We were supposed to do this at 9 a.m., but I had slept in and still had to watch NXT Level Up, so there was just no way he was going to be able to be on. So, yeah, I'm doing the show by myself this week. It's going to be lonely, but, you know, it's just what you have to deal with sometimes. Maybe the show will go quicker since it's only one guy doing it, but you never know. I have a tendency to talk a lot when it comes to wrestling. So, yeah, you're seeing a lot of really cool stuff. It's just a one-person show this week, so I'm just going to get right into it. So we're going to start by covering some nice wrestling shows because that's what we do when we're on these streams and those things. I'm doing two things at once because I was an idiot and decided not to get my notes up ahead of time because we came right on and started right away. So now everything's fine. All right, we're going to start with NXT. Now, since it's just me covering the shows, I'll just cover Level Up now since that's technically like the pre-show of NXT. And I'll just grade them both as one show. I might just start doing it that way anyways, just because I don't see the sense in covering Level Up. I know Main Event and Raw is that way too, but one, I'm not covering Raw today, and Main Event's kind of a different enough show. Level Up took place last night, May 7th, 2023. I have the date wrong in my notes, as I typically always tend to do. We had the commentary team of Byron Saxton and Blake Howard. They did okay on commentary together. They were fine. We had some matches on the show, obviously. We had Kale Dixon versus Oral Mensa. I have to call him that now because I screwed up. And, you know, as part of the agreement that Chris and I have, when I screw up and call him the current wrestling name, I have to call him that for the rest of time, unless they change it back, obviously. And I notice it's been with all the NXT names. I haven't done it to the main roster, guys. I've done it with JD McDonough, which I have to call him that forever now. And I've done it with Katana Chance. At least it's two names I don't really care about. Like I'm obviously never gonna make the mistake and call him this name, that name. I don't want to do that here just in case Chris so happens to watch this and then he goes, "Oh, you called him that now. You gotta commit to it." So I'm not doing that anymore. But this match ended up being good. I thought I'm really liking Cal Dixon a lot these days. He's been really impressing me when he's sort of Level Up. I think he's ready to be on NXT itself. He might be ready for the main roster, honestly, but, you know, I think I just say that because I want everyone on NXT on the main roster just to escape Shawn Michaels booking. But Oral Mensa ended up getting the win with the Insecurity in the corner. I'm liking Oral Mensa. I really wish they'd utilize him better and hope this is the right direction of that, but it probably won't be. And then Boa gets interviewed. He talks about how he's been away from injury for a while and he feels like he's got something to prove, but he just wants to destroy Eddie Thorpe and end his undefeated streak. Decent promo here by Boa. I'm not really much of a Boa guy. I really don't care about him. I don't think he's going to really ascend to the main event level now. Maybe main event the show, but not main event at all. And that's okay. Not everyone needs to be main event, but I just think he's going to be stuck in NXT forever, especially that injury that screwed him over and everything like that. And he's just been in NXT for so long at this point that I just don't think he's ever going to go to the main roster or anything like that. Then we had Thea Hale versus Lola Vice. Yeah, this match ended up being pretty good also. They had Duke Hudson out there with the MVP trophy, so the PC was chanting MVP at him. It's always funny because there's obviously a wrestler named MVP, so I always think it's funny when that he's over, even though he's not even out there. Yeah, this match was good. There was a weird moment on commentary where Blake Howard mentions that where he asked Byron Saxton if he would sit in on like a physical education program with Lola Vice, and if you see what Lola Vice looks like, you'd understand why that's weird. I think some of that has to do with the fact that I've been watching a lot of like Attitude Era, like Ruthless Aggression, early Ruthless Aggression Wars, and like old shows where where if Jerry Lawler asked that, it would obviously be a perv thing. And I think I think maybe that's where I took it, but obviously I think it was meant to be taken because Thea Hale has the gimmick where she goes to like universities and stuff like that, with Chase U and everything, and Lola Vice is like a fitness trainer, but it's like, yeah, not the best question to ask though. Thea Hale won with a neck breaker face buster type maneuver. It's Curtis Axel's old finisher, if you remember, where he would do like the neck break and just drop your face first. I never liked that finish all that much. I think mainly I didn't like that finish for Curtis Axel because he had the perfect flex and he just never did it. I just don't really like that finisher anyways. I don't think it's really like a finisher that would put somebody away, but especially someone like as small as Thea Hale doing that to as big as someone as Lola Vice, it's just not very good. Then we had the main event. I can't say the show because Chris isn't. I can't here, so whatever. We had Eddie Thorpe versus Boa. Boa's just back as like a traditional wrestler now, which is funny because on the graphic he had like his old gimmick on the graphic because I don't think they've transitioned it yet, so it's like whatever. Eddie Thorpe won. The match was fine. It was a good showcase for Eddie Thorpe. He clearly didn't hit his finish to win. I don't even know if he has a finisher. I think he's still trying to work that out. But it is what it is. Eddie Thorpe should honestly have just jumped ship right to the main roster. He is way too good to be in NXT. He could honestly go and tear it up in the US or IC title picture. That's how good he is at the moment. But yeah, that was Level Up. Since I'm including that grade with NXT, I'll cover it then. Well, graded with NXT. So there you go. Next we had so let's go over NXT, which took place on May 2nd, 2023. We had Booker T and Vic Joseph on commentary for that. I've obviously made known how I feel about them on commentary. Booker T was really annoying on this show. He has his moments where he's obviously annoying, but there's just moments on shows where he's just like extra annoying, and this was one of those occasions here. It shows an intro showing all the superstars from NXT that have been drafted. So this is basically the last episode of NXT before the draft, since the draft doesn't go into effect till Monday. We had an NXT North American Championship match. It was Wes Lee with Tyler Bate ringside versus Drew Gulak with Charlie Dempsey ringside. I liked this match. It was way too short, though. This match could have gone way longer. But I thought I liked this match. Wesley retained his championship when he hit the Roland and Seguri out of the corner for the win. But yeah, I thought they looked pretty good. I don't think this match was as good as the Charlie Dempsey match because this match wasn't as long or anything like that. But this still ended up being pretty good. They didn't do anything to really set up a Wesley Tyler Bate match, but I think that's the direction they're going with this. I wouldn't complain, honestly, if Tyler Bate turned heel and attacked Wesley, but they might just do face versus face. But I feel like we haven't seen Tyler Bate as a heel yet. I think that'd be cool. The only thing I'd be worried about is it'd be Shawn Michaels booking him as a heel, so that kind of would worry me. But that's obvious. Then we had Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn do a promo. They talked about how the gods or whatever, the spirits, sent them to the main roster now, but they said they're going to utilize their weird magic and all that type of stuff on their opponents tonight at NXT one last time. So that was cool. Nice promo here. I hope they kind of do these promos on the main roster, but they just kind of dial them back a little bit. And then we had a Trick Williams promo. I thought Trick Williams looked really good here. He talked about how him and Mello have known each other since I think they said middle school, but it was like 8th grade middle school. Well, I guess when they were in 8th grade. I don't know why I said 8th grade middle school. It doesn't even make sense. But and he says that he was heartbroken to see how Carmelo Hayes have to get taken out on a stretcher like that, all due to Braun Breaker. And he talked about how he took a bullet for Carmelo Hayes, Then Braun Breaker comes out and talked about how he loved the fact that he destroyed, Trick Williams, and he accepts his challenge. Well, Carmelo Hayes' challenge to face him at NXT Battleground, and Trick Williams wants to prove something to Braun Breaker, that he's not just Carmelo Hayes' sidekick. So he challenges him to a match right now. But Braun Breaker says, we're not going to have the match right now. We're going to do it next week. So that's going to be a match. That's probably going to either open or main event the show next week. And yeah, that match I think could be a lot of fun. I thought Trick Williams really came into his own here. He cut a really good promo here, and he looked like a really good baby. So I was really happy with this. And then JD McDonough gets interviewed, and he talks about how this is going to be his last appearance at NXT, and he's going to go out with a bang, pretty much. And he talks about how he's going to injure Dragon Lee before he leaves. And Noam Dar comes up and basically says that he wants that to happen, so that way Dragon Lee would be softened up, so that way, or completely taken out, so that way he wouldn't be able to take his Heritage Cup. And JD McDonough basically tells him not to tell him what to do, and says that if he has my way, he'll take the Heritage Cup from him and bring it to Raw. So that was good stuff right there. Then it shows a TikTok for Danny Palmer doing all this athletic stuff. This was kind of more of a vignette type of thing. Then we had Gigi Dolan versus JC Jane. This was not good. This might be worse than the first match they had, and the first match they had was not as good. I guess it wasn't bad, but this was just real bad. It just didn't feel like it had that intensity that it should have had, obviously, because this is like two tag teams this is a tag team that broke up, and you wouldn't even know it. Maybe because Shawn Michaels breaks up so many tag teams that when they have matches with each other, it doesn't feel special anymore, because every match now is a tag teams broken up type of thing. Yeah, we had the match. Eventually, Gigi Dolan's brother was there inside watching the match, and during the match they fight to the outside. Gigi Dolan throws JC Jane into the steps, which causes her to get busted open, and eventually she gets put into the ring, and JC Jane throws her into the steel part of the turnbuckle on the outside, and it allows JC Jane to get the victory. Afterwards, she continues to beat up some more of Gigi Dolan, and she does it right in front of her brother. This was just not good. This was really terrible, and I didn't like this at all. Then we had Axiom versus Scripps. Very good match here. I really wasn't surprised about it, because I like both these guys as wrestlers anyways, but they really put on a really good performance here. Scripps attacks Axiom before the match even starts, and eventually they just have this really good back and forth match here. Eventually Axiom wins with the rewind / golden kick or whatever. And then afterwards he shows respect to Scripps, but Scripps still tries to attack him. Axiom fights him off and unmasks Scripps, and it's revealed that it's Reggie. They never show his face, but it's obviously Reggie. And yeah, but it's really weird, because Booker T's like, you know who that is, but they never show his face, so it was really odd. But yeah, I'm happy they're doing this. They needed to get rid of that Scripps gimmick. It was really terrible, and it's good that he's going to be back to Reggie now. I wouldn't complain if they did like a rematch with him in the Reggie gimmick, but that's just me. And then it's just a segment at Big Daddy's Bar, which is pretty much not Thea Hale's, Fallon Henley's family's bar, and Briggs and Jensen are talking about how they're happy to be back together as a tag team. And they say that they felt like they had a learning experience. And Brooks talks to Henley and talks about how the one good thing about dating Kiana James is that I learned a lot about investments and all that type of stuff, and like how property value can go up if you have like investor come in or some bullshit like that. And I mean, I'm assuming it isn't bullshit, but because the storyline just lasts forever, it's just bullshit. because this is just a gimmick anyways. But you know, um, yeah, eventually, it leads to Brooks convincing you know, Fallon Henley to have like an investor come in and like invest into the bow, which doesn't sound like a bad idea, but I have a feeling the investor is going to end up being Kiana James, and the storyline is just not over yet, which is just going to be terrible. And they're going to have to be like 50-50 partners type of thing. And it's going to lead to somehow Kiana James having being like the majority owner of the ball or something like that, where the storyline started to begin with. Just really bad. Like, yeah, just really bad. I don't get why they're doing this. They did show that like Brooks had some character progression because a couple of girls offer for Brooks to have a drink with them, but he decides to hang out with his friends. This isn't the worst segment that they've done, obviously, but this segment still wasn't any good. And I just think it's just I don't know. I don't understand why they're doing this. I really wish they had just called up Briggs and Jensen for the draft because honestly, that would have saved them. That I feel like they continue to put them in these bad storylines that don't get anybody over. Then we had Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough. This match was fantastic. It's honestly like on par with like an NXT Black and Gold match. It was just fantastic. It got the picture-in-picture break treatment, which it absolutely deserved. And it was just fantastic. You really just need to go out of your way and watch this match for yourself because I really can't do it justice. Eventually, Noam Dar, who was watching the match from ringside, interferes in the match and it causes JD McDonough to win with the Devlin side. Then afterwards, Dragon Lee hits a dive through the ropes and just falls with Noam Dar to the back. And that was basically it. I liked this a lot here, though. Even though JD McDonough won, you could take the argument you probably should have put somebody over on the way out. I still think he put over Dragon Lee huge here. He had a fantastic match with him, and he only really won just because he had interference and everything like that. And I still think Dragon Lee looked really good because he even beats the crap out of Noam Dar after the match is over, after he's lost and everything like that. So honestly, I actually think this is good here. And you can't have like a guy leaving a territory lose a match every time because I think that just makes things way too predictable. And I don't think Dragon Lee is going to be in NXT all that long anyway, so you can always pick this match back up again and maybe do it on the main roster if you really wanted to. So honestly, I'm okay with this. I feel like I liked this a lot. So, and it sets up really nicely the Heritage Cup match that they're probably going to do between Noam Dar and Dragon Lee. They're probably going to do that match at NXT Battleground. So, then Katana Chance and Kaden Carter have an interview backstage, or to have a conversation backstage about wanting to win the NXT Tag Team titles and take those belts to Raw. And, obviously they talk about how they would obviously come back to NXT and defend the belts, whereas Isla Dawn and Kaylee Ray were not. That was okay. Then Schism's backstage, and Joe Gacy says that he's going to get the Grizzled Young Veterans an NXT Tag Team title match, and he says he's going to do this for them. And then when they walk away, Ava says that since that you're doing something for them, they're going to owe you one. So, okay. Then it shows an update on the mystery attacker. Just kind of shows more of people of everybody who's been attacked backstage, which is funny because Chris and I talked about it last week. Because I think everyone that's been attacked in IOL has an ACL injury. So basically, if you have an ACL injury in NXT, just have a mystery attacker. That's basically solves that right there. And then we had Joe Gacy versus Joe Coffey. This match was bad. Joe Gacy sucks, as I talked about before. So obviously anything he does sucks. Joe Coffey dominates the whole match pretty much. And he's about to get the win with the Awa best for the bells. That's Discus Lariat. I hate the name of that finisher, by the way. Like, whoever named that finisher should have been like fired immediately. Unless he named it, then he can stay. And then he's near the ropes, and Zach Gibson puts Joe Gacy's foot on the ropes, and it allows a rope break to happen. And then a bunch of chaos happens. Ava distracts the referee, which allows Gacy to hit a springboard back rebound clothesline onto Coffee for the win. This match was not good. And I really don't think the Grizzled Young Veterans owe Joe Gacy anything here. Yeah, he won the match to get them the title shot, but if Zach Gibson didn't put his foot on the ropes, it wouldn't have happened. But like he wouldn't have even won the match to begin with. So I really hope that they don't use that as a storyline, but they're gonna anyways. But yeah, we're gonna get Gallus versus the Grizzled Young Veterans now, which I think which really could deliver. Obviously, I just wish they were in the Grizzled Young Veterans gimmick instead of the Dyad gimmick. But I think obviously the match is gonna really deliver. That might I don't think that match will happen at Battleground. It might happen at like maybe the NXT before Battleground or something. I just don't see that happening at Battleground. Maybe I don't know. Because we still have a few weeks away from that, and it just doesn't really make sense to do that match because I feel like we've seen that before. So yeah, whatever. I really think they made a mistake not calling up Grizzled Young Veterans during the draft because they want to leave, and they're still in the Dyad gimmick. So then Sal Ruka FaceTimes Danny Palmer, wishing her luck on her debut, and Tank Ledger and Hank Walker hype her up. I like the tag team of Tank Ledger and Hank Walker. I think it's really entertaining. I hope they do something with it. And then they see Oba Femi backstage, and I think it's going to lead to Oba Femi having a match with one of them, probably Hank Walker, completely squashing him and destroying him. So whatever. Then it shows Eddie Thorpe training in the ring. He just finished training, and he talked about how he's been adjusting to NXT, and what's his name? The guy that was kicked out, that left Damon Kemp. That just proves my point, by the way, how stupid it was to have him job out, because I forget his name every time when I talk about him. And Damon Kemp wants him to throw his garbage away to kind of like earn his keep in the business, because that's typically what young boys do when they get called up. And Eddie Thorpe finds this disrespectful type of thing. So he says that he wants to beat him in like a match, but Damon Kemp says that he doesn't want to have to hurt him. So whatever. I feel like too this really isn't believable because Damon Kemp's been on the losing end of every feud he's been in NXT, so it's really hard to take him seriously when he's trying to be like this veteran because he never wins any matches. So it's just like, what are you doing? Then we had Danny Palmer versus Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley's a jobber now, so why did you break up her and Ivy Nile as a tag team? That didn't make sense. Danny Palmer wins. I had to take a phone call during this match, so for reasons that's probably been mentioned before, but if not, I won't mention them. So I didn't get to watch the whole match, but I have seen it. I thought from what I was looking at, Danny Palmer looked really impressive in this match. Very athletic. I think if Sal Ruka didn't go out with the ACL injury, she probably would have teamed up with Sal Ruka in the NXT Women's Tag Division. But obviously, that's not going to happen at the moment. So yeah, I liked this though. They could do something where like Danny Palmer contends for the title at some point. So I think obviously too they were going to debut Danny Palmer with having it in mind Sal Ruka was going to be a tag partner, but obviously because Sal Ruka went out due to injury, that's not going to happen at the moment. So you can't really just put an end to that. So then we have a Chase U segment. Everybody, all the students are waiting for Andre Chase to show up because they're supposed to have class at the moment. And he cancels class. Way to let everybody know, like, ahead of time. Like, he didn't email anyone until the class had already started, like, at that point. Like, what are you doing? Like, he said, and he only emailed Andre Chase, so that sounds sketchy right there. Maybe like class wasn't canceled and Duke Hudson lied, but if that's the case, why was Andre Chase there? Maybe like they're gonna do something with that, where like Duke Hudson told him like behind the scenes not to show up, just to take the day off or something, and maybe like you know, Duke Hudson got like another text or something. Maybe he messaged himself to make it sound like, I don't know how they're gonna do that, but if that was the case, then why was he not there then? Like it's just weird. Maybe but so Duke Hudson takes over and he basically becomes professor of the class for a bit, which would not happen in real life, but obviously because Duke Hudson's, he's the MVP, he's going to step in, and he tries to he does a little lecture on the history of the WWE draft. I've done this lecture before in the retros that we've done on the channel, so that was cool. And then one of the students asks Duke Hudson, "What about the pop quiz?" Because we were supposed to have a pop quiz today, which I always find it hilarious. Like anytime in a TV show, the comedy bits obviously like we're supposed to have a pop quiz today. The whole purpose of a pop quiz is you're not supposed to know about it, and it's like it's not really a pop quiz if you're prepared for it. And yeah, I don't know. Duke Hudson comes over to him and tells him that we're not doing pop quizzes. We're going to do things his way. And he has all the students tear up their quizzes and stuff like that. And basically says that, he hasn't acted this. So I think this was made to make the students look like that they would prefer Duke Hudson to be the professor over Andre Chase, which, is kind of whatever. The segment in a vacuum was really funny. I really enjoyed it. I just don't like what's about to happen with it because they're breaking up a tag team that's really popular. And I was thinking about this during the NXT Level Up match. I just don't like they're doing this because right when Chase U got popular, Shawn Michaels decided to do a storyline where he was going to break them up. Yes, that was always going to happen. Duke Hudson was always in there to turn heel on Andre Chase. I think because Bodie Hayward got released, they obviously didn't want to do it at the moment because they needed to. Let's say he probably would have already broken away from the group by now. I obviously think his role would have been different, but it's like, right when Duke Hudson, like when JHU starts to get popular, Shawn Michaels did a storyline to break him up. It's just terrible. Then Mr. Stone has a segment, and he is looking at old pictures of what's his name? Von Wagner. I almost called him like his old name, but they're looking at old pictures of Von Wagner, his childhood and stuff. They talk about how his dad was in one of the was wrestled in SummerSlam 1992 as one of the Beverly Brothers, and Mr. Stone was asking him what he thought about it, and Von Wagner had to tell him like, yeah, I wasn't born at the time. But he notices one of the pictures, and it's like as if Von Wagner had some type of brain surgery or something, because he had like a scar on his head, and Von Wagner didn't want to talk about it. He thought he'd given him enough, but Mr. Stone tells him like, "Hey, you're a free agent now. If you want to get signed to Raw and SmackDown, you have to tell me this stuff so that way I can help. That way it can make yourself look marketable to Raw and SmackDown." But Von Wagner just walks away and says that we've done enough. So I'm interested in this, I guess. They could do this for a little bit. They probably have to start showing these segments on Raw and SmackDown this way, too. I think people would care about Von Wagner. I don't know why they didn't just wait till Raw to show this. I know they started the storyline in NXT, but it probably would have made sense to show this on Raw. Because at least it's a new storyline they're doing with him, so it would feel new. But yeah, they have potential here to make something out of Von Wagner there. To make him feel like a real person. He's still not great, but this is maybe people will at least care enough about him where it won't really matter. Then we had the NXT Tag Team Championship match. It was Isla Dawn and Kaylee Ray defending it against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. This match was very good. It was a very good match here for the belts. You really didn't know who was going to win just because both people aren't on NXT anymore. One team's on Raw, one team's on SmackDown. It was kind of cool that we had two main roster teams facing off with each other. So I like that. And then Yeah, they did some really good stuff with this. They had a lot of really good near falls in the match. Um, and eventually, Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn, after hitting the finisher twice, hit the neck breaker, back breaker combination, swanton combination on one of the team members for the win. I think it was Kentana Chance, and they retained their belts. So they were telling the storyline like how crazy it was that you know, if Kaylee Ray and Nyla Dawn retain the belts, we're not going to see the belts anymore because they're trying to say like that Katana Chance and Kaden Carter would obviously be more willing to come to NXT since they're homebred from NXT. But also in the match, Vic Joseph does ask the question, like, are they going to really want to travel that much to come back to NXT? It's like, well, wouldn't the same thing happen with Kaylee Ray and Nyla Dawn? Like when Kaylee Ray and Nyla Dawn won, there was like this big surprise, being like, we may never see the NXT tag titles again. It's like both these teams aren't on NXT anymore after next week. You realize that, right? So this could have happened no matter who was going to win this match. So it just didn't even make sense for him to say that. Then Dijak does a promo telling that he warned Ilya Dragunov to stay away from the arena, but he didn't listen, and talked about how he revels in pain, but I heard you screaming pretty much like a bitch when I dropped that garage door on you or whatever. And he says that he's going to, finish the job next week in a match, which they're going to have that match next week. So we're not going to do predictions for it just because we're going to wait till Monday when we do WWE Aftershock Extra. We'll come, Chris and I will do predictions for NXT. So then Trick Williams is backstage. Apollo Crews comes up to him and offers him some advice going up against Braun Breaker and really puts him over, talking about how this is his moment. And I liked this because obviously this is going to be the last thing Apollo Crews probably does in NXT. And I thought it was kind of cool that he kind of mended fences with Trick Williams, considering the fact that, they feuded. Then Indy Hartwell has a promo. Really good promo here by Indy Hartwell. This was basically her swan song from NXT. She comes out and talks about all of the big moments that she did in NXT, and basically says that now that she's going to Raw, we're going to need a new NXT champion. So she announces that starting next week, there's going to be an 8-woman tournament where it's going to culminate a battleground. Whoever wins the tournament will become the new NXT Women's Champion. So she vacates the belt, drops it into the center of the ring. Dexter Lumis shows up. We get one last Index appearance in NXT before, where Dexter Lumis carries her away and everything like that. They probably did this too, so that way, because she was still on crutches here from her injury last week, so that way, she didn't have to walk the whole way down. But it was still a nice reunion. And then before the show ends, Tiffany Stratton grabs the belt, and basically all of the women in NXT have a big brawl. That was basically the end of the segment there. I imagine the reason they had Indy Hartwell vacate the belt is because I think she's probably going to be out of action for at least a little bit. I don't know how long, but it's going to be a little while. So they probably realize she's not going to be able to drop the title anyways. So why not just have her vacate the belt? You can do a tournament now on TV to build up a new champion and stuff like that now. So I don't think they're going to do this with the women's tag belts just because Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn are still able to wrestle. And I think they could just drop the titles anyways at Battleground. I really hope they don't vacate the tag titles because I don't think they have a team right now that can even take the titles off of Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn. Because Shawn Michaels breaks up every tag team he can. So, yeah. But yeah, that was NXT. I actually really liked NXT this week. I thought it was really good. I'm going to give it like a B. I thought this was a really good show. I thought they focused on the wrestling more so. I thought we had some really good matches that delivered here with, Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough, Scripps versus Axiom, Gulak versus Wes Lee. We had the women's tag titles main event. I like the send-off of Indy Hartwell here. And I like that she didn't get laid out or anything like that. They just let her kind of leave. We had the announcement of a tournament. And yeah, we just had a lot of really good stuff here. I think Sean can't really book anything really at the moment, like feud wise. except for like obviously the immediate stuff where we're going to stay in NXT. So you just kind of had to focus on the wrestling. And for a change, that actually had to help the show because we didn't have any goofy storylines or anything like that. So, and I'm out, even though I'm including Level Up, I don't think it did enough to raise it from a B. It probably made it just like a better B grade. So there's that. So yeah, that's really, really fun stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed this. Next, we'll go through Backlash press conference. I'm not going to grade this. I'm just going to include it in the grade with Backlash when Chris and I review that, but I'll still cover it since it's relevant. The host of the press conference was Jerry Soto and Caleb Braxton. Jerry Soto was one of the play-by-play guys, I believe, for the Spanish commentary team. So it was kind of cool. He talked about how when James, I don't know if you can hear this. This is going to make you probably even feel old. Jerry Soto says that he wasn't even alive during New Year's Revolution 05 when it was there before. He said that he wasn't even born then, which is just freaking crazy that he wasn't even born then. Like I'm older than that guy.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, he said he wasn't born then. I don't think that makes sense because I don't think the guy. But yeah, he said that he wasn't even born. But yeah, that show was a while ago. That was 05, and he wasn't even there at the time. So
That doesn't even
that's just
right.
that's insane. Like.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't watching wrestling at the time, it's insane that I'm older than that guy. Like, I'm not old. I guess now I'm older than more people in the business because a lot of people now that enter the business, at least in WWE, I know they enter the business before that, but a lot of the people that get into the WWE now are really young, and it's just freaking crazy that guy wasn't even alive. Because like I think Tyler Bate even was alive doing that.
Yeah,
show.
that's wild.
That's
a wild statistic.
I'm
gonna go back to not feeling like a pile of bricks.
Yeah, I couldn't believe. I figured you want to chime in on that because that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
no, yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, so we had the press conference started out. They ran down the Backlash card in case you didn't know what it was, even though they run it down thousands of times on Raw and SmackDown every week. But gotta know what it is. And everyone that watches this is gonna know the freaking card anyway because it's the hardcores that watch the press conferences. But gotta run through the show. And we had some hype for the SmackDown Women's Championship match. It was between Zelina Vega and Rhea Ripley. Zelina Vega and Ray came out, and Rhea and Dom came out. I will say it's really tough to know if Zelina Vega got like the big home reaction that you would think because she was with Ray, and I think a lot of people liked seeing Ray, and it wasn't the same dynamic like I knew it would be with Roman and Sammy when Roman and Sammy had their thing because everyone at least likes Rhea Ripley. She did get cheered. It was complete opposite when Roman and Sammy did that. Like obviously Roman got heavily booed and Sammy got heavily cheered, and you really didn't see Zelina by herself. Other than actually no, you didn't see her by herself like at all. During this time, like she'll probably come out by herself on tonight since Backlash is tonight, but she was really only with like Ray and the LWO, so it's really tough to know if Zelina Vega. She's probably still going to be over, but obviously I think it helped that Ray was there because you got to think I don't think Ray hadn't wrestled in WWE, so a lot of people, if they only go watch WWE, they probably never seen Ray in Puerto Rico, unless they did like a house show or something. Because the only time that WWE was in Puerto Rico, it was a Raw pay-per-view, Ray wasn't on that show because he was on SmackDown at the time. So, we had the hype though. Zelina Vega talks about how she looks forward to wrestling in front of her hometown, home country tomorrow, /state, whatever, and says that she's looking forward to representing her people from Puerto Rico and all that type of stuff, and she's going to use that drive to beat Zelina Vega for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Rey Mysterio said some stuff in Spanish that I did not understand because I don't speak the language because I didn't take any of those classes in high school. So, yeah, that's just kind of what it is. And then, yeah, Rhea Ripley talked about how she's going to beat up Zelina Vega, and she's gonna fold her like a pretzel. Yeah. So, and then Dominic Mysterio got some heat, and he did some talking that like everybody hated. So, yeah, really good stuff there. Yeah, I liked this. Then we had a championship belt presentation, which was done by Cody and Triple H, where they just basically gave like championship belts to like all the people that helped get the show together backstage and stuff like that. So that was a nice segment. And then yeah, then we had some breaking news. We kind of found out what's going to happen with the new World Heavyweight Championship, how the new champion's going to be crowned, and then it's really stupid. So on Raw this week, there's going to be 2 triple threat matches. The winner of those 2 triple threat matches will face off in a singles match and will advance to Night of Champions. Doesn't sound too stupid, right? Well, let's get to the stupid part. Then on SmackDown, yes, you heard me. On SmackDown, there's going to be the same thing. 2 triple threat matches. The winner of those 2 triple threat matches will advance to a singles match, and the winner of that singles match will the winner of that singles match will advance to Night of Champions. So why is this stupid? Well, it's supposed to be a Raw title, yet people on SmackDown are fighting for it. Already burying the brand split, and we haven't even had the brand split hasn't even gone into effect yet. I thought we were away from this stuff during the Triple H era. This is just so stupid. I honestly can't believe they did this. And I don't know whose fault this is. I really don't want to just. A lot of people I think want to say that it's Vince and it's Vince and it's Vince. I really don't want to be one of those people that just that if they don't like something Triple H does, they instantly blame Vince. I feel like that's not helping anybody in that situation. But this is honestly really stupid. Honestly, if a SmackDown guy wins it, you know he's not going to win the belt. So it makes the match really predictable and pointless at Night of Champions, and not in a good way. This honestly already buries the brand split because it's just really stupid. The only way I'd be like okay with it is if they say like it's free agents type of stuff, but it's just this is just so stupid, really dumb. It honestly soured my enjoyment of the press conference the rest of the time because this was just stupid. So then Bad Bunny comes out to do a promo. Luckily, he kind of got the press conference back in good graces again. He talked a lot about how he was. This one I could kind of paraphrase what he's gonna say because even though he says it in Spanish, because I watch so much wrestling and stuff, I kind of get what he's trying to say. He basically talked about how he's gonna kick Damian Priest's ass in a street fight, how he's looking forward to wrestling in front of his his hometown and everything like that, and how he wants to take out the Judgment Day permanently. And then Damian Priest comes out and talked about how he used to see Bad Bunny as a friend, and how he says that he doesn't want to have to put him down, but he will. And they get into a face-off. Damian Priest shoves him, and he lands right on the ground. Bad Bunny lands on the ground, and Triple H has to hold everybody back, and then they kind of walk off. I liked this part of the press conference here. This match definitely is probably going to main event Backlash, which it should, because everybody's there to see Bad Bunny. And I think that they're gonna go crazy when he comes out. This is probably gonna be the match that main events the show, and like that the crowd's gonna be throw Bad Bunny really against Damian Priest. I know Damian Priest, I think, is like Puerto Rican and stuff too, but I think because Bad Bunny's like homegrown and like their guy, they're gonna really go crazy for Bad Bunny, and he's also like a big star and everything like that. So good press conference. The only thing that annoyed me obviously was the world title announcement, but other than that, it was fine. Now let's go through SmackDown from last night. It took place on May 5th, 2023. We had the commentary team of Wade Barrett and Michael Cole. And yeah, this is the first show that took place in Puerto Rico on TV since New Year's Revolution 05, unless they did like a Raw the next night from there. Or like the next week, but I think this is the first time they were ever live on pay-per-view or on any type of TV. And they did this really cool thing where they did like a drone shot of like the entire arena. And I think this was live, which was just cool. And they would go back to this drone shot. I wish they do this more because it makes it look really real and all that type of stuff. And the first thing we see is the LWO come out, and they were over here. This might have been one of the reasons they brought back this faction, was so they could be here. But they were over as hell here. Everybody loved the LWO. They're over other places, but they're like really over here, I think, because obviously it's a Mexican like Spanish faction. Something cool is they had Spanish commentary for SmackDown, which they typically don't. Well, I mean, I assume they have it, but you don't actually see them. But I liked seeing it, but it really made me sad because it really should be Hugo Savinovich and Carlos Cabrera there. They really would have had that passion. They still have it, obviously, when they do AAA shows, but I think they really would have had it more so for WWE because they deserve to be there. So, I mean, I wouldn't have heard them, but I would have liked to have seen them there. But most of the promos in Spanish, but again, because I watch enough wrestling, I can kind of paraphrase what's said. Rey Mysterio talks about how the LWO is going to bring down the Judgment Day at Backlash with Zelina Vega defeating Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bad Bunny kicking Damian Priest's ass, and him helping out when he needs to. And then Judgment Day minus Damian Priest come out, and Dominic does all the talking for the Judgment Day on this show, mainly because he's the only one I think that can speak Spanish. I think, I don't know if Finn can, but I assume like Dominic can speak Spanish fluently. And he talks about how none of that stuff's going to happen. And he's talked about how Rey's still like a deadbeat dad and all that type of stuff. So Rey Mysterio challenges Dominic Mysterio to a WrestleMania rematch. However, Rhea Ripley says, well, why don't you face me instead? And Dominic says, why don't you face both of us? And Rey challenges them to a mixed tag match, and they accept. I thought the match would be right then because this is a disadvantage of not speaking Spanish. I think at one point Rey says later tonight, but obviously I thought it meant right now because I don't speak the language. But we got the match later. I think Michael Cole had to make that very clear that he's like, let's see if this match gets made official later tonight. This is kind of an occasion where you would obviously know wrestling scripted if you didn't know it was, because Michael Cole had to make it very clear that the match was later tonight. So, really good segment there. The crowd was great for this segment. They were really into everybody here. They hated Dominic. They loved the LWO. And even though I couldn't understand most of the segment, I think it's really cool that we're seeing a segment like this where you would never see a segment like this in the Vince era. Because I think even though they did Judgment Day 05, in the Vince era, they didn't do a segment where like most of the segment was not in English. I think Vince would be kind of arrogant and force them to talk in English anyways. That's just the way I feel about it. Maybe because it's Ray, he would have had Ray talk in Spanish, but I just feel like this is definitely a case where like Triple H understands the culture, and Vince, I don't think it's not that Vince doesn't understand the culture. He just doesn't want to understand the culture type of thing. So, and there is a difference. But yeah, the set for this show looked really good too. It was like the SummerSlam's Royal Rumble 08, Royal Rumble 2000 type of set where it looked really cool. I think it's cool because all the sets nowadays look the same. So it's cool when they change the setup. I think it had to do with how the arena looked and everything like that. And I think the arena is going to look like this for a little bit. Well, obviously for the show anyways. And we're going to do style ratings tonight, considering the fact that this is a big show. We had the first match on the show. It was the Good Brothers with Mia Yim versus the Viking Raiders with Valhalla inside with AJ Styles on commentary for the show. And the commentary was really funny just because when AJ went on commentary, he was like in between the Spanish and the English commentary team, which looks so weird because they were so close together and all that type of stuff. But this match was good. The Good Brothers dominate early. Eventually, the Viking Raiders take over. And a lot of the heat the Viking Raiders do was during the commercial break. But eventually, Luke Gallows gets the hot tag. He starts going off on everybody. And then eventually, he hits a Gallows, the choke bomb, which used to be called a Gallows pole. Thank God it's not called that anymore. Onto Ivar, which was really impressive. And eventually, the Good Brothers win with a Magic Killer on, I believe, Eric for the win. Mia Yim obviously did get involved and prevented Valhalla from really doing anything. She just hit it like a drop kick on her. And yeah, Styles didn't wrestle. He didn't take any bumps or anything like that during this match. I think he is probably ready to wrestle at this point, since he does the phenomenal form. I just think they're holding off his return for a little bit. I do think he is going to do something in Rise on the next episode of SmackDown, whether that's in being a part of the World Title Tournament or being a part of like some type of feud with Roman Reigns or something like that, which I think would be nice. I give this match 3 stars. I thought it was good. The crowd really made this match. And I love seeing the Good Brothers just kicking ass again and stuff like that. I know you can't call them the Good Brothers because that's their Impact name, but we're going to break the rules here because Chris isn't here, and we're going to call them the Good Brothers. I feel like Chris would break this rule. He would allow this. So, but I'm the one doing the show this week, so we're gonna keep going. Then it shows an ad for the WWE tours, and this is just cool because it just shows how WWE has just been on fire with these tours right here, which was awesome. They show like all the things they've been doing with the tour. They show like how they sold out in the UK, sold out here, sold out there, and it's just really good news for the WWE. I'm just really happy they're doing really well, and I like it when wrestling does well, as you know. Then Bianca Belair does a promo. She talks about how she's happy to that she got to go and be a part of those sellout shows in the UK, and she's happy to be back on SmackDown where she made her name. Kind of the same promo that she cut the previous week. And Damage Control come out, and Bayley talks about how she made Bianca because of that she was her first feud on SmackDown. And when she was the SmackDown Women's Champion, that was mainly who Bayley feuded with because they didn't have anybody else. And she talks about how she's not going to be the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion, and says that she's going to beat her. The EO is going to beat her for the belt at Backlash. And Bianca challenges them to do something about it right now. It leads to them attacking her. Bianca does the best she can to fight them off. She goes to hit Bayley with the KOD, and she drops, and EO was clearly supposed to come in and hit the missile dropkick like right away, but the timing was off, and she ends up stalling for a bit and then hitting it because you see like this moment where Bianca just kind of stands there and nothing happens. And Yeah, Damage Control beat up Bianca, and Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez make the save and chase off Damage Control. A little delayed there, by the way, because Bianca was beaten up and all that type of stuff for a while, and they didn't make the save until it was kind of too late at that point. So it's like, what you wait so long for? But yeah, I liked this. It hyped up the Raw Women's title match, and yeah, and also set up a women's tag title match the following week. I just thought they could have done this segment a little better with the attack and everything like that. Either just have them come out right away and make the save, or just don't have them come out at all. It was kind of one of those options. Karrion Kross is backstage, and he cuts a promo talking about how everybody can feel unstoppable until you take this one thing away from everybody. And he said that he's going to take that one thing away from Shinsuke Nakamura tonight. Then we have the Street Profits versus Imperium, which is Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel. Again, I haven't screwed that up yet, so I can still call them those names. And this match was good. They do a thing where they make a tag right away. Where it looks like it's just a high five. It's very discreet, but it counts as a tag. I thought that was something different. They never really done it in a tag match before, so I thought it was cool. And it was just a lot of fun. The Street Profits win when Dawkins hits the Sky High, followed by the Frog Splash by Montez Ford, and the Street Profits win the match. Good stuff here. I give it 3 stars. And I'm okay with the Street Profits winning this match because they're a big deal on SmackDown at the moment. And, it's, I think, Imperium's last match on SmackDown. They could just kind of go to Raw and they could say they put over a new team. Then Cody Rhodes does a promo. He actually says, "What do you want to talk about?" in Spanish. And he talks about Brock Lesnar some more. He talks about how people can go the rest of their could basically go the whole careers in WWE without having to face Brock Lesnar because he doesn't really pick a fight with anybody. You have to actually pick a fight with him. But this time, Brock went out of his way to pick a fight with Cody. And he talks about how he's going to basically beat Brock Lesnar and finish the story at Backlash. It's a really good promo here by Cody. I really liked it. And Shinsuke Nakamura gets interviewed and talks about how he's going to beat up Karrion Kross and basically finish his story on SmackDown. So that was cool. Earlier in the show, I forgot to write it down in my notes, but I'm going to talk about it now. The Bloodline do a promo backstage talking about how they're ready and willing to finally put an end to the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle problem. They'll talk about how they're in it. And Solo Sikoa says that he's in it, but he said that he's going to be the problem solver, but he's not very clear about what problem he's going to solve right there. So it was really good. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are backstage, and Matt Riddle cuts this fiery promo talking about how they're going to end the bloodline, how Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn proved last week that it wasn't a fluke when they beat the Usos for the Undisputed Tag Team titles as they retained the belts last week. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn just say, like, hey, we said everything we were going to say. We're just going to finish it at Backlash. And Matt Riddle was happy with this. So some nice segments here to build a 6-man. It's time to end this feud, though, as it is getting a little repetitive. So I'm glad they did the draft because they can,